Ever since Evelyn passed, the little house on Beechwood Lane had been too quiet. Henry still set out 2 teacups every morning, even though only one was ever used. He still listened for the kettle's whistle, like she used to hum along with, but it only shrieked into silence now. The silence had become a second skin. It was a Sunday when he first noticed the cat. A scraggly, soot-grey thing, hardly more than bones wrapped in matted fur, sat on the edge of his garden, staring with amber eyes like polished marbles. Its tail twitched once, then stilled. It didn't move closer. It didn't run. Henry watched from the window for a long while. Then, without knowing quite why, he poured a shallow bowl of milk and set it gently by the doorstep. The cat didn't touch it until Henry went back inside. That night, for the first time in weeks, Henry didn't fall asleep with the television humming. He listened instead to the quiet creak of the porch and the soft lapping of tongue on porcelain. And it comforted him. Chapter 2. The Visitor Who Stayed. By the 3rd day, the cat waited on the porch like a ghost with a routine. Rain or shine, it appeared at dawn, perched just beside the welcome mat Evelyn had chosen years ago. Henry still didn't try to pet it. It looked like it might crumble under touch. But he started talking to it. "Don't know what brought you here," he said one morning as he set down the bowl, "but I reckon you've got more sense than most." The cat blinked slowly, then looked past him as if remembering something far away. Days passed like pages turning. Henry bought actual cat food. The porch visitor gained weight, its fur smoothing into a sheen of slate. Once Henry left the door open just a crack longer than needed, and the cat stepped halfway inside before darting back out. That night, Henry left the door ajar on purpose, just in case. Chapter 3. A Name in the Air. "You need a name, don't you?" Henry muttered one late afternoon, watching the cat sun itself on the windowsill. It had taken to lounging there, as if it had always belonged. Evelyn used to name the strays, said it gave them dignity. He sifted through old memories like they were clothes in a cedar chest. "Marble," he said finally. "Your eyes." Marble turned at the sound, not startled, more like acknowledged. The name stuck. Henry started speaking more. At first, it was just mutterings, small talk about the weather or how the toaster still jammed. Then he found himself telling Marble stories about Evelyn, about their road trips, about the maple tree they planted together that now shaded the porch Marble napped on. Marble didn't respond, but her presence filled the air in a way silence never had. It no longer felt empty, just quiet. There's a difference. Chapter 4. The Forgotten Room. One rainy evening, Marble slipped inside fully, her paws making no sound on the wooden floor. Henry held his breath. She paced the living room slowly, nose twitching at old dust and the scent of lemon polish Evelyn used to use. Then Marble did something Henry hadn't expected. She padded toward the back room, Evelyn's craft room. It had been closed since the funeral. The door had swollen from moisture, but Marble nudged it open with gentle insistence. Henry followed, heart tight in his chest. The air smelled faintly of lavender and old wool. Her unfinished quilting project lay folded on the chair. Marble leapt onto it, curled up, and stared at Henry with a stillness that cut straight through the years. He sat down on the floor beside her, and for the first time in a long time, he let himself cry. Chapter 5. A Letter Never Sent. A week later, Marble didn't show up. Henry waited all morning, the milk bowl untouched. Afternoon passed. Evening fell like a curtain. Still no sign. Worry gnawed at him more than he expected. He called softly into the dusk, walked the block with slow, aching steps, but found no trace of her. Then just before midnight, a scratching came at the door. Marble limped in, a fresh wound on her leg and her coat soaked through. In her mouth, clutched carefully like treasure, was a yellowed envelope. Henry knelt slowly, heart pounding. The envelope bore his name, in Evelyn's handwriting. His hands trembled as he opened it. The ink had faded, but the words were unmistakable. "My dear Henry, if you're reading this, it means I didn't get to say goodbye properly, but I want you to know I'm not worried about you. I know you'll find your way. I know someone will find you when the time is right. Love always, Evie. The letter dropped to the floor. Marble rested her head on his knee. Chapter 6. The warmth returns. Winter crept in gently that year. Snow dusted the garden like powdered sugar, and Henry, for once, didn't dread the long nights. Marble had fully claimed the house now, her favorite place a quilted cushion on Evelyn's old rocking chair. Henry kept the fire going, often sitting across from her, reading aloud. Sometimes poetry, sometimes just the news. It didn't matter. She listened in her own quiet way. But there was something else, too, a stirring within Henry. The letter had lit a small flame in a room, long dark. He began sorting through Evelyn's things, not out of grief this time, but gratitude. Each scarf she'd knitted, each photo album, each scribbled recipe card. They weren't reminders of absence, they were echoes of love. One afternoon, while dusting the shelf behind the fireplace, Henry found another envelope, no name, just a pressed forget-me-not sealed beneath wax. Inside was a note, not addressed to anyone in particular, just a line Evelyn must have jotted down sometime during her illness. When I'm gone, find someone to care for. That's how you keep the warmth. He looked at Marble, dozing in the sunbeam by the window. You brought her back to me, he whispered. Chapter 7. The second cup. The days grew longer again. Neighbors noticed Henry walking more. He waved now, stopped to chat. Even baked a pie for the widow on the corner. Marble often trotted beside him, her tail high, her amber eyes alert. But it was the little things that changed most. The music that played softly in the mornings, the gentle hum of Henry's voice, the second teacup that once again was used. Sometimes Henry would sit on the porch with Marble curled beside him, sipping tea, listening to the wind through the maple tree. The milk bowl still sat by the door, not always full, but never empty for long. One summer morning, a little girl from the neighborhood walked up shyly and asked to pet Marble. The cat, once feral and afraid, leaned into the touch with calm assurance. Henry smiled. She chooses carefully, that one. The girl giggled. She likes you a lot. Henry looked down at the old cat, now soft and strong, and saw not just a pet, but a companion, a gift, a message. He didn't know where Marble had come from. Perhaps fate, perhaps something more, but he knew this. A single bowl of milk had become a bridge back to life, and what the cat gave in return, trust, presence, love, had mended a heart he thought was beyond repair. As the wind rustled the porch and the sun warmed the wood beneath them, Henry lifted his cup in a silent toast to the quiet miracle curled at his feet. And for the first time, in a long time, everything felt whole again.